What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple of Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. We have a very special guest. She is zooming all the way in from London. Her name is Coach Gloria B. She is a life coach and self-love and all-around self-love. She helps survivors of emotional abuse and narcissistic abuse turn their life around. Coach Gloria, thank you so much for joining us today. What you do is it's very close to my heart because I can relate in a lot of different ways. Can you please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Deanna, for having me. It's really a pleasure. You said a lot already. So I'm an emotional wellness coach. I help survivors overcome emotional abuse and narcissistic abuse, and self-love plays a huge part in healing the aftermath of this kind of experiences. I decided to go down this road because that's my life experience as well. I was with a narcissist for almost 15 years, and they were very crucial years of my life because I started dating him when I was 18. So I really wasn't even a woman yet, you know. I was a girl, and I hadn't found my identity as a woman yet. And I left when I was 32. So the world that I faced at 32 was very different, was very different than what I had experienced so far and what I had expected as well. But yeah, I went through, in the space of those 15 years, I went through severe anxiety and OCD as well as a result of what was happening in the relationship. I was bullied quite a lot as well, and you know, I was bullied in childhood, but in the relationship as well. And then yeah, I went through all sorts of gaslighting and all that kind of stuff. So
terrible.
Yeah, it is. And but I've come out the other side, and I was so inspired, and I had such a transformative experience that the way I felt like I was putting myself out there in such a different way, and people were responding to me in a very different way after my healing.
Yeah.
And that's what got me thinking. And it got me thinking, and I said, look, I've done this transformation myself. I got out of a very ugly situation, and I've healed, I moved on, and look how people are responding. They are telling me that they're being inspired and everything. And so I thought, well, what if everybody could experience this then? What if everybody could heal the wounds, and what if everybody could actually move on? And I literally thought of the collective transformation that could happen, and how much every single person could go and influence another person, and then another person, you know. And it was such a huge pull, you know.
Very powerful.
Yeah, very. And I even get goosebumps when I
me goosebumps right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, woohoo.
Yeah. And so I decided, you know, the person who helped me at the time was a life coach, and I found that the coaching practice was really, really powerful. So I decided to train myself as a coach. So I went and got myself, I studied, and I got myself my qualification and everything. So I now do the same for the women.
That's amazing. I don't think that, I think a lot of women, or a lot of people, I'm not going to just specifically say women, I think that we tend to fall into those relationships a lot more than men do. But I don't think that a lot of people that are in those relationships really know how to define it. They just know that they feel bad. They don't feel good about themselves. They, you know, they're on a very downward slope in their lives. And when you are in a narcissistic relationship, it is so damaging that, I mean, it takes so long to rebuild. And you, even now, after, like, I've come through a lot like yourself, even now you have to remind yourself that you're worth it, that you won't tolerate certain behaviors, you won't, and you don't fall back into certain patterns. So what you're doing is so important. And I mean, it's like what you said here, shaping a different world, because you know, you're never going to change a narcissist, right? Unless they decide that they want to become a better person. But you can change the person that is being exposed to that narcissist to know that they deserve something way better. So I think that is just phenomenal. That, I mean, you've gone through so much, and I mean, It is. Once you decide to heal, the things that open up for you in the world is just so, it's like a completely new world.
So
I mean,
much.
I've gone through a lot. My husband, I'm a human trafficking survivor. I was into drugs back then. My husband, like, I was with my husband for a very long time, but he was a little bit of a narcissist. As much as of a great life we had together, it was not perfect. He was also a big steroid addict. So I was dealing with a narcissist slash almost drug addict, really, and that's a different kind of addict. And when he passed, I lost almost everything. And it was like, then I got into a relationship with a really bad, abusive, narcissistic man. And it took me, like, it's been 5 years. That was right after my husband died. It took me almost those 5 years to finally get into an almost like a healthy relationship, because it was just so damaging. And I was so scared that I was going to attract the same kind of man again. I'm like, I just can't do it. I'd rather be alone and single than get into another relationship like that again.
Yeah. It's so true. So true. I really feel what you say. And when you say that the aftermath of this is so damaging, it literally changes your identity.
Yes.
It literally, this is the work that I do with my clients. We literally work on identity, because the narcissistic cycle is so manipulative. It's literally such deep manipulation,
Yeah.
that if you get into a relationship with a narcissist, that you are already a woman. So let's say you're already in your, in the second half of your 20s, you're like 25, 26, nearing your 30s, you already kind of know what woman you are, right? You already have built an identity for yourself. But getting in a relationship with a narcissist is going to take that away.
Yeah.
Completely. And I have so many women that come to me and they say, I just want to know who I am again, because I'm so separated from that person. It feels like such a distant memory.
Yeah.
And then I have other clients that are like me, that got into those relationships when they were really, really young. Like I said, I was 18.
That's too young.
Exactly. And when you get into that at that age, you don't even have a time to build your identity. And that's a whole different, story as well. It's about when you are on the other. So when you come and work with a coach, when you come and heal, then that gets exciting, because yes, you get to face quite a lot of things that are hurting, but the exciting part is that you're either reconnecting to your true essence, or you're finding it for the first time.
Oh my
And
God.
that's unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
When it's just such a joyful and amazing and transformative experience. So that's the good part. But there's a lot of stuff that comes up that we have to face, and it's really an experience that is quite hard to come to terms with, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for you yourself, I can speak for myself, but for you, I mean, it almost is like you escape out of that relationship. And so for you as a coach, going through that, I mean, that has to be very rewarding, but also like it's like watching your client have to go through that evolution of finding themselves and breaking free and escaping from, it's a prison. You're in a prison when you're in that situation. You really are.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And for so many years, I didn't even realize that I was.
See, exactly. And that's why I think a lot of women, I've had girlfriends over the years, and you hear their stories, and it's just like, you don't have to put up with that. That's not healthy, right? That's not that should not be the normal for you. And it's, once you've, like, yourself and, like myself, and you've gone through it and you've found yourself again and you've empowered yourself, and you're just like, oh, I'm this woman, hear me roar, and you see someone who's struggling, it's like, people are going to do what they want to do unless they decide that they want to change in their life and they want something better for themselves. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? So it's so frustrating, and it hurts my heart when I encounter or interact with one of my girlfriends that is going through that. I mean, luckily a lot of my girlfriends now are very like boss babes, strong females, but I have a few that are kind of in a relationship that is not exactly healthy, and the man's a narcissist. Maybe not so extreme, but because there's different levels, right? There's different
Oh,
levels of
yeah,
narcissism.
there's a whole spectrum, you know. Even I always say somebody doesn't need a narcissistic personality disorder diagnosis in order to have toxic and narcissistic behavior.
Yeah.
It's a whole, you know, it's a whole spectrum of somebody can even just do what there are many red flags. And I, for example, mentioned gaslighting earlier. Now, even if gaslighting is the only thing that they do, it's still abuse.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there is no tolerance to that at all. Like they're still being toxic and they're still abusing and they're still causing a great deal of damage. So yeah, absolutely.
I have a question for you. So when someone, like, let's just say it is just gaslighting, and this is just for anybody who's listening that might be going through something like this. If you are exposed to that so many times, that can really cause almost a form of PTSD. And that creates a cycle or pattern in your life that if something like that happens, and whatever your reaction is to that gaslighting, let's say, you're going to carry that forward in other relationships, and you're going to be triggered throughout your life.
Yeah, 100%. I'll explain this to you very easy. I always say this to my clients in these terms. So imagine your brain as being your muscles, right?
Yes.
You go to the gym, by repetition, you lift the weight and the muscles show up, right? And your brain, exactly, and your brain learns exactly the same way. Your brain learns by repetition. So the more repetition, the more things and the more toxic behaviors it's exposed to, the more it thinks they're normal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
It really changes the perception, like we said earlier, not only of yourself, of your own identity, but also of what's normal and what wasn't.
Yeah.
Not, you know. Yeah. And literally when I came out of that relationship, I found a completely different world that I didn't think was normal. But I remember talking to my coach and her being like, Gloria, this isn't normal for you.
Right.
Because you have been through that.
Exactly.
But a healthy relationship, this is how it works. This is fine. This is okay. You know, even now when I have feel amazing that I found a great partner. I have a very healthy relationship now, but the amount of time it took me to accept that I didn't have to do everything on my own, that I wasn't responsible for everything, that I didn't, you know, that I had a say, you know, even in the relationship. I was amazed. For months, I was like, oh my God, is this happening? What is going on here? You
deserve that though. You deserve it.
Thank you. But it's so, yeah, it's really shocking. Yeah. It's really shocking. Yeah.
That's amazing. So can I ask you a personal question? How long did it take you, and you probably still are, but how long did it take you to really heal from that after 15 years and find yourself into a healthier place?
So I started my healing when I was still in the relationship.
Okay.
Yeah. So because this is another thing with narcissistic abuse. It's very hard to leave the toxic relationship and in order to get to the point where you leave, you need to get yourself to a place where you're healthy. Yeah. And then you find the strength to leave. It doesn't happen to everyone, but it happens a lot of the time.
Sure.
And I was destroyed by severe anxiety, OCD. And, you know, I was having, if you're familiar with OCDs, obsessive compulsive disorder, it makes you do things. You have compulsions. You have to do rituals every single day because otherwise you feel that the whole world is going to collapse if you don't do it. And it's really hurtful because you know that it's not logical what you're doing, but yet again, you cannot stop. So I was really all stuck into this like vicious cycle of the anxiety, which was coming from the gaslighting and from the toxic behaviors. So I went to see my coach for the first time because I wanted to work on my OCD. And the first thing she made me do was to do a journal on all of my rituals that I had. She said, just go through them in one day and write down when you do them and what comes through your head when you're doing them and why do you feel that you have to do them. Right. And it came up to 40.
40 different rituals?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, what a time waster.
Exactly. And this is exactly the reason why I went, because I said to her, it takes up so much of my time.
Yeah.
I cannot deal with this anymore. Like, it takes me an hour to leave the house every morning. I was exhausted.
Was those OCD behaviors triggered from the abuse that you're experiencing in your relationship?
Yeah, it was a result of the anxiety. Yeah. So OCD is an anxiety disorder. So my anxiety got to that much of a high level that it turned into OCD, and it's a form of control. So I felt like I didn't have control over my life, over myself. So I had to control something else. So that's why the OCD happened, because I that gave me the feeling that I was in control of something, but in reality I was just getting lost. But anyway, so fast forward 12 months of the work that I've done with my life coach, and my OCDs have gone to less than half.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, but now I want you to imagine a person that has 40 level of anxiety of 40 rituals compared to the person that has level of anxiety of 15 rituals.
Right.
That's a lot of clarity.
Very much. You're not filling up your day with unnecessary rituals, whatever that might be. That's wow. Do you still have any of those rituals?
No. And I'll tell you, I still had about 10 the week before I left him. The moment I left, all gone. Like, from one day to the other. I'm not kidding you.
It's crazy. I mean, and this is like, and that's why it's so important for me to, like, for my podcast to hear, I mean, to hear everybody's stories. It's just because that is so amazing what you've been through, and people that might be stuck in that situation might think, oh, this is just how I am. This is just normal for me. It's not normal. It's not normal. Okay. With that being said, what can you tell us besides your own personal success story? What is do you have a client that you've had great success that you'd like to share?
Oh goodness. Now I had
high level.
I had so many, but one that really comes to mind. She came to me with severe social anxiety.
Okay.
To the point that she didn't feel safe leaving the house, and it was very difficult. Anyway, a lot of this stuff was reconnected to certain kinds of relationships and all that. And she has done amazing. She's bought a car, booked holidays for the future. It's really,
and how can I ask? So, how long did that process take for her to when working with you?
That took, I would say, 4 months.
That's not bad.
No, not at all. No, this is what I mean. Like, people think that they have to do 20 years of therapy. You don't. You really don't. And it's so important to me to talk about this, because I want to change the conversation that's around the healing and around those facing those things, because I feel that the healing is labeled like something is so painful, something that it's really painful that you have to go through, and you have to go through 20 years of therapy to maybe get some results and this kind of stuff. Guys, it's not. It's really not. It's an amazing thing that you can do for yourself, and it's so inspiring. And it's honestly, like you said at the beginning, you decide.
Yeah.
It's your decision. Yeah. It's your decision to say, today I'm going to do this for myself. Today I'm going to become this person. Today I stop being a victim and I become a survivor. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's so important. It's so important. Honestly, I get so passionate talking about those things because
I love it. That's good. That's what you do. So, what is your process with someone? So do they do like a consultative call with you, and then you kind of map out a plan?
Yeah, so we do a half an hour, 45 minutes, depending, consultation. And that really allows me to see what the client's expectations are, what they want to achieve, and in how long. And then I make a plan with them. But with everyone, there's obviously no standard process, because everybody, even though we've gone through similar experiences, everybody really lives in a different way, right? Sure. And so what we do, the only thing that I do that's the same for everyone, we create a vision together. So we create, okay, if we are sitting at this table in 6 months time, tell me where you want to be. Tell me what you want to be happening in your life, or a year from now, or 6 months from now, whenever that is.
Yeah.
And we start from there. We start from what they want, and we start from what their desire is.
Sure.
And then we work towards that thing. And when you work towards the vision, you see all those things are going to pop up. All the stuff that needs to be resolved, all the things that you need to be facing, they're all going to pop up. But a lot of the time, the greatest amount of work, it's done within the first 3-4 months.
Sure.
It's not even, you know, and then everything else is more of, I'm adapting to my new life.
Right.
You know, I'm seeing sometimes stuff pops up again, and I need a little bit of like talking it through and redirection, but the main things are just going to come up at the beginning very often.
And so do they, and I'm going to have you plug all your stuff here in a minute. And so throughout that process, and when they decide to hire you as a coach, do you talk to them once a week, twice a week? How often do you talk to your clients?
So I usually suggest the first month and a half to speak every week.
Okay.
Just because, and also I do sessions that are 90 minutes, not an hour, because I believe in it being quite, immersive and quite intense. So, so the first about month and a half, I suggest every week, so we can get to a good rhythm, to a good point. And then after that, it's really, I really go with what the client is feeling. So if they say, actually, I feel quite good this week, can we have it, can we push it into 2 weeks time? Then I follow that, because I believe that that's super empowering for a person. Sure. I don't want you to be tied to every week, because you are going to be able to walk with your own legs, right? Yeah. You're going to be able to do that for yourself. And the moment that you feel that you're ready for that, I'm just going to be like, yes, go.
Go for it.
Please go for it. That's amazing.
Gosh, you're awesome. I love it. So Coach Gloria, doctor, we can call you doctor too. You've gone through enough. Can you plug, so if anybody wants to follow you, hire you, get a consultation with you, can you please plug all your links?
Yes, of course. So you can find me at Coach Gloria B, both on Instagram and Facebook. And then you're going to have all of my links there. But my main website is, I have to change the domain, but so far is the selfmasterycoach.co.uk. But you'll find all the info on Instagram and Facebook. I talk to people quite a lot over direct messages. Sure. So please, if you just, I really believe in a human-to-human connection. So just let's have a chat and let's see how that goes. And then we can get you in for a consultation and see how you feel.
I love that. Sorry, I'm just making a note. I like to pull something out of the episode to make as the title for like what you say, because I think that your words are so powerful. Before I start wrapping things up, is there any last words of advice or wisdom you'd like to leave with the audience?
Oh, yes, please. I would love to say that if you think you're experiencing a toxic relationship right now, if you have experienced it in the past, I would really like you to close your eyes and take a look inside, because 100% you feel that. You have that instinct within you that has never abandoned you, that is saying, maybe I'm made for something a little bit more than this. Maybe this isn't right. Maybe what is happening to me or what's happened to me in the past isn't really supposed to be like that. I know that that instinct is there, 100%. So my word is, give yourself a chance, please, and just go and see what that is. Because that thing that is screaming right there, be like, please listen to me. That is literally your true self that is trying to get out. And for so long, for so many years, I've kept that voice quiet, but it's so not worth it. You should just live loud and just
live loud. Yeah, that's another one. You are beautiful. Oh my God, I just love it. We'll have to do a follow-up, Coach Gloria. Thank you for sharing your story. I can definitely connect and relate in a lot of different ways. But you guys, this is your host, Deanna Kempel with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I'll be back soon with some more dynamic guests.